Let's be honest. Pricing for a small business, it can feel like you're walking a tightrope, right? If you price too high, you're worried you'll scare everyone away. Price too low, and you're leaving money on the table. Today, we're diving into the 3 biggest psychological traps that cause so many businesses to stumble, and we're going to lay out the playbook to get you safely to the other side. All right, I want you to just stare at this number for a second. 11%. It might not look like much, but trust me, it represents one of the most powerful, yet most overlooked, levers you can pull to totally transform your business's finances. What if this was the key to unlocking some serious growth? Okay, so here's the big reveal. It turns out research shows that on average, a tiny 1% increase in your price can lead to a whopping 11% increase in profits. And let me be clear, that's not revenue, that's pure profit. The takeaway here is huge. Getting your pricing right isn't just a minor tweak, it's an absolute game changer. So let's look at what's really holding businesses back.
First up is an internal battle, and it's a big one, the confidence gap. This is all about that nagging self-doubt that creeps in and convinces you as a business owner that you're just not worth what you should be charging. It's an incredibly common mindset, and boy, is it costly.
Yeah? Does that sound familiar? That's the inner monologue of the confidence gap. It's this deep-seated fear that your product or your service just isn't special enough to justify a better price. And that doubt almost always leads to a defensive move. You lower your prices to compete, which, as we're about to see, can backfire big time.
So, how do you fight back against that doubt? Well, it all comes down to having a crystal clear value proposition. And look, I know that sounds like some corporate marketing buzzword, but it's not. It's simply your answer to the question, why should a customer choose me over everyone else? If you can't answer that with confidence, well, you're never going to be able to price with confidence either.
So how do you actually build this confidence? The source material gives us a great 4-step plan. First, you've got to get super clear on what makes you valuable. Second, and this is huge, you need to talk to your customers. Find out, in their own words, why they picked you. Third, shout what makes you different from the rooftops. And finally, you've got to experiment. Run some small tests and see what the market is really willing to pay. Okay, so let's move on to the second trap. This one shifts from an internal fear to a very real external one, the fear of loss. This is that nagging belief that if you dare to raise your prices, your entire customer base is just going to pack up and leave.
This right here, this is the thought that keeps so many business owners stuck in place. They truly believe that a low price is their only competitive advantage. But this mindset traps you in a really dangerous cycle of low margins, where you're constantly chasing customers who are only loyal to the price tag, not to your actual business. And this leads to something the source material calls, and I love this phrase, the busy fool syndrome. It's such a powerful idea. You're working your tail off, sales numbers are up, you feel incredibly productive, but when you look at the bottom line at the end of the month, there's just nothing left. There's no cash to reinvest, no money to grow, you're just running in place.
The way out of this trap is all about differentiation. I mean, think about it. If your offering is pretty generic, something that's easily replaced, a Me Too product, then of course you're forced to compete on price. But if you have a distinct, desirable value proposition, you completely change the conversation from how much does it cost to what value do I get? And that is where you can command a premium.
So, here's the game plan for overcoming that fear. First, you have to know your ideal customer, the one who gets what you do and values it, not just the cheap price. Second, shift your focus from just making more sales to delivering more value. Third, make sure you're educating your customers on all the awesome benefits they're getting from you. And finally, test small, incremental price increases. You might be shocked at how little resistance you get.
And that brings us to our third and final trap. And honestly, this might be the sneakiest one of them all, the neglect trap. This is what happens when a business treats pricing as a set-it-and-forget-it decision, something you figure out at launch and then barely touch ever again. Here's the danger. The world doesn't stand still. Your costs go up, your competitors change their strategies, hopefully your product keeps getting better, and, of course, inflation is always there. So if your prices are stuck in the past, your profit margins are just silently being eaten away day after day, year after year. To beat this neglect, you just need to build some good habits. The source material suggests 4 key ones. First, make pricing a regular topic of discussion for your team. Second, keep an eye on what your competitors are doing. Third, track your costs and inflation like a hawk. And fourth, use actual data, not just your gut feeling, to guide your pricing decisions. Okay, so we've covered a lot. We've talked about the three major traps: that internal crisis of confidence, the external fear of losing customers, and that silent danger of neglect. Now let's pull it all together into a simple, actionable playbook that you can start using today.
It really just boils down to this. To escape the confidence gap, you have to own your unique value. To escape the fear of loss, you need to attract your ideal customer, not just any customer. And to escape the neglect trap, you have to make pricing a regular, normal part of your business routine.
So if there is one crucial point to take away from all of this, is that you need to shift your whole perspective. Pricing isn't just a defensive tactic you use to cover your expenses. It is one of the most strategic tools you have to define your brand, attract the right people, and fuel your future growth.
And that leaves us with one final thought. You know, knowledge is great, but it's action that actually creates change. So looking at your own business right now, I have a question for you. What is the one simple pricing review, whether it's looking at a competitor or one of your costs or a customer segment, that you can actually schedule in your calendar this week?